Welcome to our deep dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad. We're going to be exploring Robert Kiyosaki's core ideas based on the excerpts that you've shared. And today we're going to uncover the kind of distinct financial lessons the rich impart to their children, which are often very different from what the poor and the middle class learn.
I think one of the brilliant things that Kiyosaki does is he focuses on the mindset. He doesn't just talk about money. He challenges our deeply ingrained beliefs about wealth, many of which he argues come from our upbringing.
Yeah, and right off the bat, he introduces this compelling narrative of his two dads.
Right.
There's his biological father, his poor dad, a highly educated man who really struggled financially. And then there's his best friend's father, the rich dad, this self-made entrepreneur.
And this contrast, I think, is so key to understanding Kiyosaki's message. You have these two dads, both achieving some level of professional success, but their view of wealth diverged sharply. One believing that the love of money is the root of all evil, and the other arguing that the lack of money is the root of all evil. So imagine, young Kiyosaki caught between these two completely opposing philosophies.
Yeah, it's almost like he was forced to become a financial philosopher at an early age. Do you think these contrasting perspectives pushed him to forge his own path?
Absolutely. I mean, he had to question everything he was told about money. And this is a central theme in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's don't blindly accept the dogma about finance. Think for yourself. Challenge those assumptions that you've inherited about wealth.
And one of the biggest assumptions that he dismantles is this idea that formal education equals financial intelligence. He argues that schools do a terrible job at teaching us about money, leaving even highly educated professionals financially illiterate.
He doesn't mince words about this. He says that this lack of financial education keeps so many people stuck in what he calls the rat race, working for a paycheck, paying bills, and never really getting ahead. They're trading their time for money without ever really understanding how to make money work for them.
So how do you escape this rat race? It seems like he suggests it's about understanding the difference between assets and liabilities, a concept that he illustrates with those really simple but powerful diagrams in the book.
Those visuals, I think, are so effective. An asset puts money in your pocket, a liability takes money out. Seems straightforward, but he challenges a deeply held belief by saying that a house is not always an asset.
Yeah, that's a real eye-opener, I think, for many people. It forces you to reassess, what you consider valuable. But how does this apply to the rat race?
Well, think about it. People often get trapped because they accumulate liabilities that they think are assets. So they upgrade their house, they buy a new car. All the while, their debt is growing and their expenses are rising right along with their income. And so they remain stuck.
It's like that story he tells about the young couple who get a raise and buy a bigger house and end up deeper in debt. It's a powerful example of how the rat race can be this self-perpetuating trap.
Yeah, and to break free, you need a fundamental shift in mindset. You have to start thinking like the rich, focusing on acquiring assets that generate income rather than liabilities that just drain your cash flow.
And he shares a lot of stories from his own life to kind of illustrate these principles. One that stands out is that toothpaste counterfeiting episode when he was just 9 years old.
Oh, yeah.
He and his friend Mike start this whole toothpaste making operation in the driveway only to discover they're accidentally breaking the law. It's a hilarious story, but also a powerful lesson.
It is. And it's interesting how Rich Dad responds. Instead of scolding them, he uses it as this teachable moment.
Yeah.
He praises their creativity and urges them not to give up. He understood the value of developing that entrepreneurial mindset even at a young age. Trying, failing, learning, and trying again.
It seems like Rich Dad was very deliberate in the lessons that he created for Kiyosaki. Another example is that infamous 10 cents an hour job. Kiyosaki's poor dad is furious that his son is working for such a meager wage, but Rich Dad orchestrated this for a very specific reason.
He wanted Kiyosaki to feel that frustration of trading time for money without building anything that could generate income on its own. It was a very calculated move to push him out of this comfort zone and make him question that traditional path of just working for a paycheck.
So it wasn't really about the 10 cents. It was about planting those seeds of discontent with the rat race and making Kiyosaki hungry for a different way. Would you say that this experience ultimately led him to those core principles of Rich Dad, Poor Dad? The importance of assets over liabilities, focusing on cash flow, and, as he puts it, minding your own business.
Yeah, and minding your own business isn't necessarily about becoming an entrepreneur, although that's certainly one path. It's about taking control of your finances, building that asset column, and creating a future where you're not dependent on a paycheck. You become the architect of your own financial destiny.
And it all comes back to that visual of the cash flow quadrant, which he uses to explain those four different ways that people earn income. And he argues that to achieve true financial freedom, you need to move from the left side of the quadrant, which is the employee and self-employed quadrants, to the right side, the business owner and investor quadrants.
Because on the left side, you're primarily trading your time for money, no matter how successful you are. But on the right side, you're building systems and assets that generate income, whether you're actively working or not. Yeah, that's the key to escaping that rat race.
He illustrates this beautifully with that story of Bill and Ed, the two guys who get contracts to provide water to a village. Ed works hard hauling buckets while Bill builds a pipeline. You know, it's a simple story with a profound message.
Bill understands the power of leverage. He invests his time and energy up front to create a system that generates passive income. He's thinking long-term, building something that will continue to work for him even while he sleeps.
It's working smarter, not harder.
Ah.
But how do you practically make that shift from the left side of the quadrant to the right? Where do you even begin?
Well, he outlined several strategies in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and they all circle back to this idea of minding your own business. And remember, that doesn't necessarily mean quitting your job. It's about shifting your focus to building your asset column.
So real estate stocks, businesses, intellectual property, anything that has the potential to generate income.
Exactly. It's about acquiring those income-producing assets. But he stresses starting small and learning as you go. He didn't start out buying skyscrapers. He started with small rental properties, mastering the fundamentals of real estate investing, and gradually building his portfolio.
And he also talks about the importance of finding mentors, right? People who have already achieved success in the areas that you're interested in. He argues that they can provide valuable guidance and shortcuts that could potentially save you years of trial and error.
Absolutely.
Wow.
He's a huge proponent of mentorship and encourages people to be proactive in seeking out those who can guide them, attend seminars, read their books, join industry groups, and most importantly, just ask questions. Don't wait for opportunities to come to you. Go out and create your own luck.
This brings up an interesting point. He talks a lot about finding opportunities that everybody else misses. But how do you actually do that? It sounds a little bit like finding a needle in a haystack.
He talks about developing your financial intelligence.
Hmm.
And it's not just about, knowing financial formulas or crunching numbers. It's about seeing potential where others see obstacles. And this comes from a combination of education experience and, most importantly, a willingness to think differently.
So it's not just about being book smart. It's about developing a certain kind of street smarts when it comes to money.
Precisely. Think of Alexander Graham Bell. He saw a need for better communication, and he invented the telephone. Or Bill Gates. He recognized the potential of personal computers, and he built Microsoft. It's about identifying needs and creating solutions that people are willing to pay for.
He also highlights the importance of knowing the law, right? Not just playing by the rules, but understanding how the rules can work in your favor.
He talks about how the rich use corporations to legally minimize their tax burden and protect their assets. And he makes it very clear that he's not advocating for tax evasion. He's urging people to become financially savvy, understand the system, learn how to leverage it ethically and legally.
That's an important distinction. Okay, so let's say someone has started building their asset column. Maybe they've purchased a few rental properties or dabbled in stocks. What's the next step? How do you accelerate that wealth build process?
Well, he highlights the power of leverage, the ability to use other people's time and money to grow your assets. And he has this incredible story of how he bought an apartment building for $1.2 million without using any of his own money.
Wait, hold on. How is that even possible?
He negotiated a contract with the seller that gave him time to find investors and secure financing. He understood the art of deal-making and the power of raising capital. He wasn't afraid to think big and take calculated risks.
But that level of risk-taking must require a pretty high degree of financial intelligence. You can't just jump into these deals blind.
No, you need to be educated and you need to understand what you're doing. But he believes that everyone can develop this level of intelligence. It starts with a willingness to learn and a commitment to mastering the fundamentals of finance.
And that mastery includes recognizing what he calls a good deal, right? He's not just buying any property or stock that comes along. He's seeking undervalued assets opportunities to buy low and sell high.
He has this incredible story about buying a rundown house for $20,000 less than the asking price because the owner was desperate to sell. He recognized the potential that others missed and negotiated a fantastic deal. A year later, he sold that same house for $95,000. That's the power of spotting opportunities and understanding value.
It's an impressive example, but even if you're really skilled at finding these deals, there's still a chance of losing money. And he's very upfront about that. He emphasizes that even the rich experience losses. He compares it to playing tennis. You make mistakes, you adjust, you improve.
And this ties back to his emphasis on learning from mistakes. He uses these setbacks as fuel to refine his financial intelligence. And, even Colonel Sanders was rejected over 1,000 times before he achieved success with Kentucky Fried Chicken. He didn't let those failures define him. He used them as motivation to keep pushing forward.
So how do you cultivate that resilience? How do you bounce back from those inevitable setbacks and continue on that path to financial freedom? It seems like overcoming fear and doubt is a huge part of it.
He tackles this head on. He uses the analogy of the cynic being like, Chicken Little always worried that the sky has fallen.
Yeah.
And he argues that fear and negativity can be paralyzing, preventing people from taking action and pursuing their dreams.
Like that story he tells about his friend Richard, who passes on a great real estate deal because he listens to his neighbor who wasn't even an investor. He let fear and doubt dictate his decisions and missed out on a fantastic opportunity.
Yeah, it's a classic example of letting your emotions control your financial decisions. And he stresses the importance of educating yourself, sharpening your financial intelligence, and being willing to take calculated risks.
And I think this is where a lot of people get stuck. They understand the concepts, but they're afraid to take that leap. They hesitate to put their money on the line.
And this is where his concept of finding your financial genius comes into play. He believes that everyone possesses the potential to be successful with money, but it takes dedication, it takes education, and it takes a willingness to step outside your comfort zone. He even encourages people to, find those role models, people who make investing seem effortless and really model their behavior.
He talks about studying Warren Buffett and Donald Trump, trying to understand their thought processes and decision-making strategies. It's like finding mentors, whether directly or through their work, and learning from both their successes and their mistakes.
Absorbing their knowledge and adapting it to your own unique circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
And he also emphasizes taking action. Don't just read about investing, go out and do it. Start small. Learn from your missteps and steadily build your financial intelligence.
He even suggests finding work that can teach you valuable financial skills, even if it doesn't offer a high salary initially. He shares his own story of leaving a promising career to join the Marine Corps to learn leadership skills.
He recognized that the true value of a job lies not just in the paycheck, but in the skills and knowledge you acquire. He urges people to be lifelong learners, constantly seeking new knowledge and ways to enhance their financial intelligence.
He also dives into the dangers of laziness, arguing that busy people are often the laziest. They use their busyness as an excuse to avoid confronting their financial challenges.
It's easy to get caught up in that rat race, working tirelessly to pay bills and maintain a certain lifestyle, but never actually dedicating time to building that asset column. They're so busy running in place that they never make any real progress.
And he even suggests that laziness can manifest as arrogance. People refuse to admit they don't know something or they're too afraid to ask for help. They'd rather feign understanding than risk appearing foolish.
He shares this great anecdote about disagreeing with an investor on a CD and how repeated listening to the investor's perspective revealed a valuable insight he had initially missed. It's a reminder that we can always learn something new, even from those we think we disagree with. Humility and open-mindedness are crucial.
Yeah, I can relate to that. It's easy to get trapped in your own way of thinking and dismiss ideas that challenge your beliefs.
Exactly. He underscores the importance of being a student for life, always willing to learn and grow. And he firmly believes that the more you learn, the more you earn. But it demands a commitment to continuous education and self-improvement.
He also stresses the importance of generosity, not just with money, but with your time and knowledge. He believes that giving is a powerful way to attract abundance into your life.
He shares how his rich dad always tithed, even when money was tight. He viewed it as an investment in his own future prosperity. And he also emphasized the importance of teaching and sharing your knowledge with others. The more you give, the more you receive. It's about creating a positive cycle of abundance.
This resonates with me. I found that focusing on giving and helping others often leads to unexpected rewards.
It's about generating positive energy flow. When you're giving, you're opening yourself up to receiving, and that applies to all aspects of life, not just money.
We've covered so much ground already. Let's take a moment to kind of process all this, and when we come back, we'll delve into some more specific strategies from Rich Dad, Poor Dad that you can use to start building your own path to financial freedom. All right, so let's dive into some of those practical strategies that Kiyosaki outlines in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He provides a lot of frameworks and anecdotes, but it can be tough to distill them into actionable steps. Where should someone even begin if they want to start minding their own business?
Well, one of the most compelling concepts he introduces is this idea of paying yourself first, even if you're feeling financially stretched. It sounds counterintuitive, but he makes a strong case for how this seemingly minor shift can significantly impact your financial well-being.
It's about prioritizing your own financial future, right? Setting aside money for your asset column before paying bills, almost like a mental trick to reprogram your thinking.
Exactly. You're sending a powerful message to your subconscious, reinforcing the idea that you are worthy of financial abundance. It's a way of shifting your mindset from scarcity to prosperity.
He even suggests that the pressure of needing to meet your financial obligations can actually be a powerful motivator, pushing you to explore new income streams and build that asset column.
He argues that necessity is the mother of invention. When you commit to paying yourself first, you're more likely to discover innovative solutions and seize those opportunities that contribute to your financial growth.
It's like creating this positive feedback loop. You invest in yourself, which motivates you to find ways to increase your income, allowing you to invest even more. Did Kiyosaki always adhere to this pay yourself first principle, even in his early days?
Oh, absolutely. He recounts how, even when he was struggling financially, he made it a point to prioritize his own savings and investments. He viewed it as a form of self-discipline, a commitment to building that solid financial foundation.
So it's about establishing that financial discipline right from the beginning. Even if you're starting with small amounts, it's about building that muscle of consistent saving and investing.
Precisely. And he contrasts this approach with the conventional wisdom of paying everyone else first, the government, the landlord, the credit card companies, often leaving little to nothing for yourself.
Yeah, it's a cycle that keeps so many people trapped in that rat race. Always working for money, but never truly achieving financial independence. But Kiyosaki argues that breaking free requires a different approach, one that prioritizes building your own financial fortress.
And he also emphasizes the importance of generosity, giving back both financially and through sharing your knowledge and skills. He talks about how his rich dad, even when facing financial challenges, always made a point to tithe.
It's interesting how he frames tithing as an investment in one's future abundance. It's not just about charity, it's about creating that positive energy flow, a belief that the more you give, the more you receive.
Exactly. And that philosophy extends beyond monetary contributions. It encompasses sharing your time, expertise, and mentorship with others. It's about contributing to a cycle of abundance, not just for yourself, but for those around you.
It's about building a community of wealth and prosperity, not just individual success. So we've talked about mindset shifts and these foundational principles. But what about some specific strategies for building that all-important asset column? Where do things like real estate and stocks fit into the equation?
Well, he dives deep into those areas, providing both broad strategies and specific examples from his own experience. He's a firm believer in real estate as a powerful wealth-building tool, emphasizing the potential for cash flow and appreciation.
He recounts how he started with small rental properties, gradually scaling up his portfolio over time. It sounds like he advocates for starting small, learning the ropes, and then progressively expanding your investments as you gain experience and knowledge.
Exactly. He stresses the importance of finding those good deals, undervalued properties with the potential for significant returns. He tells this great story about purchasing a rundown house for $20,000 below the asking price because the owner was desperate to sell.
He saw an opportunity that others missed and negotiated a really favorable deal. It sounds like a combination of market awareness and just shrewd negotiation skills.
He recognized the inherent value in the property that others overlooked. And a year later, he sold that same house for $95,000, demonstrating the potential for some pretty significant profits in real estate.
But real estate's not the only path to wealth, right? He also explores other asset classes, including stocks and businesses.
Absolutely. He believes in diversifying your portfolio and understanding the unique advantages each asset class offers. With stocks, he emphasizes the importance of thorough research, understanding market trends, and developing a sound investment strategy.
It seems like he cautions against blindly following the crowd or making impulsive decisions based on fleeting market hype.
He advocates for a more strategic, informed approach to investing, one that prioritizes long-term growth over those short-term gains.
What about the world of business? How does he approach building a successful enterprise?
He stresses the importance of finding a need in the marketplace and creating a solution that people are willing to pay for. It's about identifying a problem and developing a product or service that effectively addresses that problem.
And I think he also talks about the importance of creating systems and leveraging other people's time and talents to build a truly scalable business.
He even advocates for building businesses that can eventually run without your direct involvement, allowing you to achieve true financial freedom and pursue your passions.
So it's about building a business that works for you rather than you working for the business. But how does someone transition from employee to entrepreneur? That leap can feel incredibly daunting for a lot of people.
He acknowledges that challenge and encourages aspiring entrepreneurs to start small and gradually build their ventures while maintaining a steady income stream. It's about taking calculated risks and strategically managing your resources.
And he also stresses the importance of continuous learning, right? Continuously seeking knowledge and refining your skills to stay ahead of the curve.
He's a strong proponent of lifelong learning, arguing that the more you learn, the more you earn. He encourages people to read books, attend seminars, and seek out mentors who can guide them on their entrepreneurial journey.
It's about investing in yourself, constantly expanding your knowledge base and your skill set. And it seems like he also emphasizes the importance of surrounding yourself with the right people, people who can offer support, guidance, and those valuable insights.
He believes that your network is your net worth. He encourages seeking out mentors who have already achieved what you desire, people who can provide valuable advice and those shortcuts based on their own experiences.
So it's about building that network of advisors, partners, and collaborators who can help you navigate the challenges and seize the opportunities that inevitably come with building wealth. But what about the emotional side of investing? How do you handle those inevitable setbacks and disappointments?
Well, he doesn't shy away from that aspect. He acknowledges that fear and doubt are very common obstacles, even for seasoned investors. He compares investing to playing tennis. You make mistakes, you learn from them, and you improve your game over time.
So it's about developing that resilience, bouncing back from losses, and using them as fuel to refine your financial intelligence.
He reminds readers that even the most successful investors experience setbacks. It's how you handle those setbacks that ultimately determines your long-term success.
He tells the story of his friend Richard, who passes on a fantastic real estate deal because he lets his neighbor's unqualified opinions influence his decision. It's a cautionary tale about the dangers of listening to that fear and doubt, especially from those who haven't achieved the level of success you aspire to.
He urges readers to trust their instincts, educate themselves thoroughly, and develop the confidence to make those informed decisions.
So it's about building that solid foundation of knowledge and experience so you can make decisions based on facts and analysis rather than emotions and speculation.
Exactly. And he also encourages people to embrace calculated risks. He argues that playing it safe can sometimes be the riskiest approach of all.
He's not advocating for reckless gambling, but rather a balanced approach that involves assessing opportunities, managing potential downsides, and being willing to step outside your comfort zone to pursue those potentially rewarding ventures.
He shares this incredible story about how he once bought an apartment building for $1.2 million without using any of his own money. It sounds incredibly risky, but he carefully analyzed the deal, negotiated favorable terms, and leveraged other people's capital to make it happen.
It's a powerful example of how understanding those financial principles, coupled with creative deal-making and strategic risk-taking, can lead to some pretty significant financial breakthroughs. But I imagine not everyone is cut out for that level of risk and complexity. Where does someone with more modest goals and resources even begin?
He emphasizes the importance of starting wherever you are, even if it's with a small amount of money. He argues that the key is to develop that habit of consistent saving and investing, even if it's just a few dollars a week.
He compares it to building a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. And over time, even those small, consistent contributions can accumulate into significant wealth.
And he also highlights the importance of finding your financial sweet spot. Those investment strategies and asset classes that align with your individual risk tolerance, your financial goals, and your personal interests.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. It's about finding what works best for you, your unique circumstances, and your long-term vision.
Exactly. And he encourages people to continuously educate themselves about different investment options, from real estate and stocks to businesses and precious metals. He stresses the importance of understanding how these different asset classes behave, their potential risks and rewards, and how they can contribute to a diversified portfolio.
It's about becoming a savvy financial consumer, understanding the options available and making those informed decisions that align with your individual goals and risk profile. But with so much information out there, where do you even begin to educate yourself? It can feel pretty overwhelming.
He advocates for multiple avenues of learning. He encourages reading books, attending seminars, listening to podcasts, and engaging in discussions with other investors. He also stresses the importance of finding mentors, people who have already achieved success in the areas you're interested in.
He even suggests finding work that can provide valuable financial skills and knowledge, even if it doesn't offer a high salary initially. It's about viewing your job as an opportunity for education and personal growth, not just a source of income.
He tells a story of leaving a promising career to join the Marine Corps to learn how to fly, even though it meant a pay cut. He recognized that the experience and skills he would gain would ultimately prove invaluable in his future endeavors.
It's a powerful example of how prioritizing long-term growth over short-term gains can lead to greater fulfillment and success. But with so much emphasis on financial education and acquiring knowledge, how do you avoid getting bogged down in analysis paralysis? At what point do you stop learning and start doing?
He stresses the importance of taking action, even if it's imperfect action. He argues that you can't wait for the perfect moment or until you feel completely ready. You have to be willing to dive in and learn as you go.
It sounds like he's a firm believer in learning by making mistakes and adapting along the way.
He tells this story of how he and a friend were looking at 6 apartment buildings, and he suggested she offer half of what the owners were asking. Her agent was horrified. But Kiyosaki's point was that you have to be bold, be willing to negotiate, and think outside the box.
It's about challenging conventional wisdom and not being afraid to make those unconventional offers. It's about being a proactive participant in that wealth-building process.
Exactly. And he also emphasizes the importance of shopping for bargains in all markets, not just when times are good. He believes that profits are made in the buying, not in the selling. It's about finding those hidden gems, those undervalued assets that have the potential for significant appreciation.
So it's about developing a keen eye for value, recognizing those opportunities that others might overlook. And it seems like he also encourages people to think big, even if they're starting small.
He believes that everyone has the potential to achieve financial greatness. He encourages readers to set ambitious goals and develop a clear vision for their financial future.
He reminds them that all those major companies on the stock exchange started as small ventures. Colonel Sanders didn't become a millionaire until he was in his 60s. Bill Gates was one of the wealthiest individuals in the world before he turned 30. It's a powerful reminder that it's never too late or too early to start building your financial freedom.
And he stresses the importance of not letting age, background, or your current circumstances limit your potential.
So it's about having that growth mindset, believing in your ability to learn and adapt, and embracing the journey of continuous financial education and self-improvement.
Absolutely. And he also emphasizes the importance of finding your passion, something you genuinely love to do that can also generate income. He believes that when you align your work with your passion, you're more likely to achieve both financial and personal fulfillment.
Like his story of leaving a promising career to join the Marine Corps to learn how to fly, even though it meant a pay cut. He followed his passion, and it ultimately led him to his true calling as an entrepreneur and educator.
It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the path less traveled can lead to the most rewarding destinations.
So it's about having the courage to pursue your dreams, even if they require those short-term sacrifices. It's about believing in yourself and your ability to create a life of both purpose and prosperity.
And it's about recognizing that the journey to financial freedom is not a destination. It's an ongoing process of learning, growing, and adapting.
It's about embracing those challenges, celebrating the wins, and never losing sight of your ultimate goals.
And it's about remembering that you have the power to shape your own financial destiny.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We've explored Kiyosaki's core principles, his practical strategies, and his inspiring stories. But before we wrap up, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier, this concept of finding your financial genius. What exactly does he mean by that?
He believes that everyone possesses this unique set of talents, skills, and interests that can be leveraged for financial success. He argues that financial genius is not about being a mathematical wizard or a stock market guru. It's about discovering your own unique strengths and applying them to the world of finance.
So it's about self-awareness, identifying what you're good at, what you enjoy doing, and finding ways to monetize those passions.
Exactly. And he encourages people to explore different avenues, to experiment and try new things until they discover what truly resonates with them.
He also talks about the importance of developing your financial IQ, which he describes as the synergy of accounting, investing, understanding markets, and the law. He encourages people to become financially literate, to develop a deep understanding of how money works and how to make it work for them.
He believes that financial literacy is essential for making informed decisions, managing your money effectively, and building that solid foundation for long-term wealth.
So it's about empowering yourself with the knowledge and skills necessary to navigate the complexities of the financial world and make choices that align with your goals and values.
And he also stresses the importance of surrounding yourself with a team of advisors, mentors, and partners who can provide guidance, support, and expertise in areas where you might need assistance.
It's about recognizing that you don't have to do it all alone. It's about leveraging the knowledge and experience of others to enhance your own financial journey.
He emphasizes the importance of building a network of trusted advisors, people who can offer valuable insights, challenge your assumptions, and help you stay on track to achieve your financial goals.
So it's about creating that collaborative environment where you can learn, grow, and thrive together.
Exactly. And it's also about being willing to give back, to share your knowledge and resources with others, and to contribute to a cycle of abundance and prosperity.
It's about recognizing that financial success is not a zero-sum game. It's about lifting each other up and creating a world where everyone has the opportunity to achieve financial freedom and live a life of purpose and fulfillment.
And ultimately, he argues that financial freedom is not just about accumulating wealth, it's about using that wealth to create a life of meaning, impact, and joy. It's about living a life on your own terms, free from financial constraints, and pursuing your passions with purpose and intention.
It's about creating a life of abundance in all areas, not just financially. It's about living a life aligned with your values and contributing to a world that you want to see.
And it's about recognizing that the journey to financial freedom is a continuous process of growth, learning, and evolution.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. Let's take another brief pause to let all this information sink in. When we return, we'll wrap up our exploration of Rich Dad, Poor Dad with some final reflections and actionable takeaways. All right, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And, one thing that really sets Kiyosaki apart, I think, is his emphasis on mindset. He doesn't just talk about the nuts and bolts of investing. He really dives deep into the psychology of wealth, helping readers develop what he calls their financial genius.
Yeah, it's this focus on mindset that I think makes Rich Dad, Poor Dad so much more than just a personal finance book. It's a guide to transforming your whole relationship with money. He challenges those deeply ingrained beliefs that we often inherit from our parents' beliefs that can unknowingly sabotage our financial success.
He talks about how fear, especially the fear of losing money, can be a major roadblock for a lot of people. He even compares it to the fear of public speaking, which for some is even more terrifying than death.
Oh, yeah. It's that fear of standing out, of being judged or ridiculed that can really paralyze people and prevent them from, seeking innovative solutions or taking calculated risks.
But he also acknowledges that you don't have to be completely fearless to be successful. He tells that story about his friend who was an emergency room nurse, a hero in the face of blood, but runs away from investing. We all have our strengths and weaknesses, right?
Exactly. It's about recognizing your fears and finding ways to manage them.
Yeah.
It's about not letting those fears control your decisions and prevent you from taking action towards your goals.
He even suggests that strategy, remember, humorous, but maybe kind of effective for dealing with that inner chicken little voice. Just do what Colonel Sanders did. He fried it.
It's funny, but yeah, it's a good analogy. Don't let fear and doubt run the show. Take action, even if it feels scary or uncomfortable.
I love how he uses stories and analogies to make these complex concepts so relatable, like the concept of paying yourself first, even if you're struggling to make ends meet.
Yeah, it seems counterintuitive, but it's a really powerful strategy for building discipline and shifting your mindset. By prioritizing your own financial well-being, you're sending that message to yourself.
Right, like, I am worthy of financial security, I am in control. And this simple act can have a ripple effect on your behavior.
It creates a sense of urgency. It pushes you to be more creative and resourceful and finding ways to generate income.
It's about taking ownership and making it a priority.
Absolutely. And he also emphasizes generosity, not just with money, but sharing your knowledge and skills. He talks about how his rich dad really believed in tithing even when money was tight.
He viewed it as an investment. And he also talked about sharing what you know. The more you give, the more you receive, right?
Right. It's about creating that cycle of abundance.
Speaking of sharing, he's a big advocate for mentorship, both seeking it out and offering it to others. He believes in the power of learning from those who have already done what you want to do.
Yeah, he tells that story about how he learned about tax and certificates just by talking to a guy over lunch. It's a good reminder that mentorship doesn't have to be this formal thing.
Just ask questions, be curious, seek out those people.
Right, and he encourages people to share their knowledge and experience too, to be mentors themselves.
It's all about that network of support.
Exactly. And he also talks about making lots of offers when you're investing.
Yep.
That you never really know what the right offer is until you put it out there.
Like that story about looking at those apartment buildings and he told his friend to offer half of what they were asking. The agent was like, what? But he's saying, you gotta negotiate, think outside the box.
Be bold. Don't be afraid to make unconventional offers.
It's being proactive.
And he talks about shopping for bargains in all markets too.
Yeah.
Not just when the economy is doing well. Profits are made in the buying, not the selling.
So it's about patience and seeing the value that maybe others don't.
Absolutely. And thinking big, even if you're starting small. Remember those big companies on the stock exchange? They all started somewhere. Colonel Sanders wasn't a millionaire till his 60s, and Bill Gates was one of the wealthiest people in the world before he was 30.
It's never too late or too early to start.
And don't let anything hold you back, your age, background, where you are now.
It's all about that growth mindset, believing in yourself.
And finding your passion, something you love that can also bring in money.
He left his career to join the Marines, to learn to fly, even though it meant less money. He followed his passion, and it led him to where he was supposed to be.
Sometimes you have to take the less obvious path to get to the best place.
So have the courage to follow your dreams, even if it means sacrifice in the short term. Believe in yourself.
The journey to financial freedom isn't a destination, it's a process.
Embrace the challenges, celebrate the wins, and never lose sight of the goal.
Remember, you have the power to create your own financial destiny.
So what's the big takeaway for our listeners from Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Financial freedom is possible, but you need to shift your mindset. Commit to learning and take action. What's one small step you can take today to start minding your own business and building your assets?
Maybe pick up a book on investing, attend a seminar, or talk to a mentor.
That path to financial freedom starts with a single step.
That's a great point to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad. We hope you're inspired to take control of your finances and build your own path to wealth and freedom.